Welcome to a true final boss guide for Blade Chimera. So, in order to even get to this fight to begin with, you must collect all 56 puzzle pieces, which require you to complete every side quest, including fighting a very annoying optional boss. Now, once you do all that and open up the 56 puzzle locked door, you find Lux, who is very unhappy to see you. And thus begins one of the hardest fights in this game, where all the difficulty that was missing from the previous encounters in this game have coalesced. This fight can be very hard to go through, and if you aren't prepared for it, you're going to die very fast. So the first thing that you're going to need are lots of healing items. So be sure to stock up at the shop. System Discs 2 that provide you with about 15 seconds of invincibility are going to be very handy for this battle. The silver sword that you get from the starting location, specifically one block up from when you first drop down, is considered to be the best weapon in the game against her. It can be a little funky though to use, as you're going to be making use of the pogo, kind of your pogo bounce mechanic that you'll be seeing once we get to the actual play of this. But the Crimson Whip can also work in a pinch. However, considering how easy it is to collect all the items, or all the major ones, you can pretty much grab that very handedly. In terms of skills, without a doubt, you're going to need the double jump, you'll need the super high jump, you will also need Lux's kind of destruction spell that was kind of near the end of the skill tree. That is required for this fight, and you'll see why when we get to the actual run of it. The extra life skill is going to be useful for the first phase. Yes, there are multiple phases, spoiler alert for this video, but it's not going to be that useful for parts 2 and 3. And if you are finding yourself using a lot of healing items in the first phase, you might as well just restart the battle, because she takes a lot of damage and you will not be able to tank that. So, in terms of winning this fight, let's switch to my winning run and we'll go over some of the phases. And don't worry, you'll be seeing them quite often here. For this first part, you'll be dodging these giant kunais. And it's pretty simple, you can use any combination of dashing to do that. When she does her second attack in this pattern, the knives coming out of the ground, that is your best opportunity to pogo bounce off of her. You can also pogo bounce off of her third scythe attack, but it is very risky. I usually, for safety, will go for like 3 hits, land, do a super high jump to dodge, then do 3 more hits, wait forward, do another super high jump, and avoid like that, because on the kind of recovery frames, you can still take damage. When you've taken her down about quarter health, she'll switch to an easier phase, throwing these shurikens. Throughout the entire shuriken and the kind of knife sticking out of the ground phase, she is entirely vulnerable for it. As her health gets to about halfway, the pattern will change again. You'll see that momentarily, as she'll start slamming down knives from the air. If you're lucky, you can just stand in the middle and just go down on her, but otherwise you want to avoid those. Now, when her health drops below half, she'll throw in a new attack in the mix, these time orbs. If you do not destroy them within about 3 seconds, the entire fight will reset. Your healing items will be restored, but you will have to do the battle again. This is where Lux's AoE kind of spell works to your favor, as it's the best means of countering that. Other than that, this is just, again, the same patterns over and over again, and with that, phase 1 is done. As we move into phase 2, you're only using your own Lux to do the best damage. There is no grounders, so you can fall infinitely. And what you want to do is throw Lux as far away as you can, and use the recall mechanic to do as much damage as possible. All the boss will be doing is kind of following you around and throwing these blades at you. Now, remember, if Lux is not attached to you when your health hits 0, you will not be able to use the revive mechanic. So this is where you want to make use of healing items when needed. When you hear that kind of like camera, like a shutter sound, that's when you know that the blast or her attack is coming. You will get some healing from the recall of the sword, but not really a lot, especially in order to tank this damage coming through, and again, why you need healing items. Now, the further away the sword is when you recall, the more damage it will do, but the boss must be on screen in order for the sword to do damage. If you recall it while the boss is off, it will not do anything. Other than that, this is just about kind of biding your time, waiting for when things line up to recall and do damage. Don't be afraid to just keep falling until you land, and those little platforms will of course reverse the second or about a second or two after you land on them. Other than that, this phase is a lot easier to learn compared to the first, and once you make it this far, you should be at least well on your way to getting the win. And with that, we're heading into the final phase. Now, this is a survival one. I guess going back to Team Ladybug with having the Touhou, like almost like bullet hell challenge of Touhou Luna Nights. So first, you have to send Lux into the ore, and you must survive until the meter runs out. Now, this also means you have no revive mechanic whatsoever. Now, this is where the system discs really come into play, and this is the point where I realized, hey, I didn't bring any system discs, because the game did not restore my consumables when I first beat this fight before the recording. So this led to me kind of having to go into clutch mode in order to try and dodge. And yeah, this is when I was trying to use a system disc, realizing, wait a minute, system disc 1 doesn't do anything. So it is time for some emergency adapting. And remember, without having Lux attached to you, you don't have the super jump as well. So it's just time for like the heart of the cards dodge and running out the clock, and that's the boss. Really, the first phase is the hardest, and it's just about getting into a good groove of knowing how to dodge the various attacks and getting good at the pogo bounce. Now, if you want to watch the whole ending, there's already people who've uploaded videos on that all over the place. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch my streams live, be sure to check out the Main Game Wisdom channel, where I play a whole lot of indie games from easy to very masochistic ones. And I hope you have some good luck when you're going up against this final fight. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.